The big idea, an idea worth spreading, right? More later. Good morning. My name is Carlos Salum. I am a creative thinker who always wants to be better as a creative thinker. I am a performance advisor for executives and world-class athletes and creatives. I am a produced playwright, a professional tennis coach, and a documentary film producer. Last April, I fulfilled a dream, which was to create my SIR conferences based on stories, ideas, and relationships. And to launch it, I invited my mentor, Richard Saul Wurman, the legendary founder of TED, to come to Charlotte. And we did 2 events, and I have been recovering ever since. Today, I want to share with you what I learned from Richard over the years about TED's DNA. Picture this. About 50 years ago, a young Jewish-American architect traveling around Europe, mysteriously convinced that he will meet the Pope. By sheer luck, in Rome, he manages to charm a Monsignor who invites him to the summer residence in Castel Gandolfo for the weekly audience. He decides to drive, gets lost. It's summer, so he has a wrinkled suit, he's sweating like a pig, goes to finally the entrance, and to his surprise, they usher him up to the stage where he stands out like Chewbacca by all the cardinals in crimson red and Pope John the 23rd, for many, the most beloved Pope in history, in immaculate white. And he is totally mesmerized by watching the Pope hold the audience in the palm of his hand, not because of religion, but because of his true magnetism. And that day, Richard Saul Wurman told me that he decided to relive that moment forever. And that was, in his mind, the birth of TED. So he did not set out to change the world, but ironically, he became some kind of pope and created a religious experience for creative people, which changed the cultural landscape forever. I think that TED's DNA is the imprint of his hummingbird mind, because essentially it relies on 3 things. One is the power of understanding. When we have in one room bright, forward-thinking people, like today, suddenly, when they express their passion from the stage and their pursuits, we can understand what's the next wave. We can understand how paradigms will shift. The second thing is cross-pollination, because the variety, the adjacency, the juxtaposition, sometimes the discrepancy of topics allows us to ignite our creative thinking by making connections that they were not there before. Third, I would say is transcendence, because when we talk in the corridors and we move from what do you like, what's your passion, to can we collaborate, and suddenly we form foundations, companies, and movements out of a meeting like this, that is really a very different approach than just listening someone talking from the front. Now, sitting in the audience for many years was Chris Anderson, who is a global citizen. He was educated in India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. His father was a missionary eye surgeon. He studied in Oxford, became a very successful publisher, hundreds of magazines, and his fortune allowed him to create the Sapling Foundation that in 2002 purchased TED. So his is the global mind, the missionary mind. Let's take this great idea onto the world. So his ideas worth spreading approach is essentially based on trying to spread all the possibilities that we hear in this room through technology, and then basically try to make an imprint in the world but empower the village. So, which brings us to TEDx Charlotte. I think that today, essentially, we can do the following. We can connect to the passion of the speaker and try to think for ourselves, what's my burning passion? What's my burning desire? Then, when we have conversations, let's try to find how we can collaborate. What's your power idea? Can we create value together? And then, of course, if we see topics that we can combine, how can we find an opportunity to shift something, to imagine what can be? So, to have that whole brain experience and tie it to the whole world, global experience of today, I would suggest that we also think, what does it mean for us to be here today? What does it mean to Charlotte? What does it mean if we can inspire someone starting today or tomorrow? How can we create some stage in Charlotte in which we can say that we have a learning playground? And I think that by doing that, we will be defining a theater of purpose, which I think is what we have today. So, may you be your purpose, however it manifests, and welcome to TEDx Charlotte.